Vegeta is one of the most popular characters in the entire Dragon Ball franchise for good reason. He's the cool rival of Son Goku who has attitude, and clearly some of the best writing in the series, as many will praise him for having. Even if Goku has more to him than people realize, and Gohan's arc is completely operational even at the end of Z, Vegeta is still one of the most interesting characters regardless, and an aspect I think is under talked about is how Vegeta never caught up to Goku at the end of Z. While yes, it is obvious that Goku had Super Saiyan 3 while Vegeta only had 2, so it's inherently lesser on that front, I don't think people notice a detail that's kind of sad to think about. Goku grew bored of having Vegeta as his rival. There's a line said by Piccolo when Goku meets Oob about how he hadn't been that happy in a long time. As established in previous Dragon Ball videos, Goku's happiness is through fighting and pushing himself, so for him to be unhappy, that would imply no one on Earth could satisfy his desire for strong opponents in the years of peace after Buu's end. He was even going as far as having Goten be a sparring partner, despite his son's interest leaning towards girls and not combat. Furthermore, given how Goku left off with Oob while Vegeta stayed behind swearing to beat him, that shows Vegeta never caught up to actually keep Goku interested in fighting him. And that's really interesting. You'd think after a reformed mindset, he'd be rewarded with the strength to be on Goku's level, not necessarily be stronger, given that Goku will always embody Dragon Ball best and needs to be a little ahead, but with how Vegeta is by the end, it'd be thought Goku would be interested in their rivalry for years to come. It's a very shonen idea after all, to become better as a person and thus reach a new physical strength, but that didn't happen for Vegeta, which while under a certain framing could seem sad, it's actually a powerful lesson. But first we must consider his character as a whole. In Vegeta's journey, we see his pride from being told he was the prince who'd become the king, yet being robbed of the opportunity and becoming a subordinate of not only one, but below even some of his men, would cause his desperation to put himself above them. Frieza eradicated the Saiyans, so Vegeta had to be a strong warrior to represent a race on its last legs, and to do that, and overcome Frieza, it developed into a desire to become Super Saiyan. Yet as he was beaten by the Saiyan who became an Earthling, in what was supposed to be a mere stepping stone in his quest to defeat Frieza, then prostrated himself before that very Saiyan to defeat the person he was meant to, it added to the embarrassment and resentment he already felt from losing. Not to mention the low-class warrior destined by Saiyan society to be nothing achieved Super Saiyan. For Vegeta, his world was turned upside down in every way by someone who was supposed to be just an ant below his feet. Those feelings would cease as he created his own family and unlocked the power of Super Saiyan. He did it. He finally did it. The Saiyan Prince proved he had the capacity for Super Saiyan after all, even beating an enemy Goku failed to defeat. It was joyous. It made Vegeta feel alive. He finally reached what he always wanted. Android 18 would hand him an embarrassing loss, but the prince quickly bounced back with a form beyond Super Saiyan, something to again feel a sense of exhilaration, putting himself above those androids and even Cell, the creature everyone feared, while his greatest rival was out of the picture due to being off training with Gohan, since he just recovered from his heart disease not too long ago. Vegeta for a time was the star of the show. While he had minor setbacks, he'd easily display superiority over others without much keeping him down for long, which would enact habits of getting caught up in his own pride, letting Cell transform. Now that he went beyond the base Super Saiyan, his mindset made him feel invincible, completely letting his guard down and underestimating his foe, leaving room for Goku to finally come back in the picture and display strength beyond the multiple steps forward Vegeta had taken. Not only that, but Goku's son would surpass that strength. Vegeta already conceded to being weaker while watching his rival face Cell, before his son to surpass even that, birthed further bitterness at the situation of it all. Vegeta was given hope that things would be as they were supposed to, but to have that so thoroughly crushed would push him to his lowest point. Goku defeated him way back when, so he sought to use what he perceived as what made him strong, others to protect, and it was seemingly working, yet in the end, that clearly wasn't the case. So he handed himself off to Babidi, seeing it as the only resort to catch up to Goku. In that he felt the warrior spirit he lacked ever since he grew used to times of peace, the comfort of Earth, and those around him. Even beyond going down this path to get strength, It was an insurance he'd be able to just fight Goku. After all, he hadn't been able to challenge him directly since his first fight, and his newfound relaxation made him stop pushing for that conflict to continue. That was the only way Vegeta could push to make his goal of overcoming Goku a reality. What he strove for was once overcoming Frieza to become the shining beacon of the fallen Saiyan warriors. But naturally, that would transfer to defeating Goku, because that was all Vegeta had left. No home to return to in order to fulfill his ambitions. This was the only way he could assert his worth, being better than everyone in strength as the Battle Society of Saiyans emphasized. Yet Dragon Ball's exploration of strength isn't for that idea. Yes, someone like Goku fights to win in order to see how far he's come, but it's more than anything to improve and enjoy himself, not to assert superiority above anyone. Furthermore, he accepts the idea that there will always be people above him. As Roshi said back when he was a kid, there will always be someone better than you. Yet Vegeta's sense of pride doesn't allow him to accept that so easily. He was already molded into believing he was supposed to be the best, because his race valued combat above all. And the prince destined for king would have to be the strongest no matter what. Babidi saw that mentality in the form of evil in Vegeta's heart and branded him his own. Yet, that's not all that's there. While Vegeta may have gotten a family in some part due to chasing after the strength Goku had, he did experience what set Goku apart from Saiyans, and was forever changed as a result, having more in his life than combat from experiencing human values, perfectly captured by his developing relationship with Bulma and Trunks, to the point where he lost himself when Cell hurt someone he cared about. Goku grew up on Earth, so naturally camaraderie is extremely important to him, and as much as he loves to fight, he'll never disregard the lives of others to have his own thrill. There needs to be compromise. And for Goku and Gohan, their means of doing that was joining Saiyan and human aspects. The will to fight in recognition of what you are to battle as a Saiyan does, yet having the ability to learn from other people and use the power of others to make yourself stronger. After all, Goku wasn't stronger than Vegeta in their first battle, but he was able to use the aid of others. Ironically, Vegeta was in large part beaten due to the weakest ally Goku had, while Vegeta immediately threw away Nappa once he deemed him as weak. Every villain who met their end was unwilling to see other ways to live, as to not let their desires harm others. But Vegeta, having experienced the love of his family, could never be the heartless warrior he was at the beginning of the series. The awakening of Buu would make him stop letting loose to his own desires. While he can't admit it, seeing as he offers the excuse of stopping his fight with Goku as, "This has no point if you can't focus due to his release," in reality, the pain on his face as Buu is released is as clear as day. He's realized what he's done. Even in such a state, he can't bring himself to throw away everyone for the sake of himself. He changed. Vegeta was rebelling from seeing that very change, and while he could give into his evil to fight Goku, and even be willing to kill innocents, his family was to be protected. In order to make up for his mistakes, save Trunks, Bulma, and even Goku, he sacrifices himself. The battle between his own toxic sense of pride and love in his heart ends in him making the right choice. The one that put aside his selfishness and let his dream not cause pain for those around him. He'd finally redeemed himself. Except, that's not quite it. While it was a noble sacrifice, he failed to take out Buu, and in going off to fight alone, it was still a choice born out of excessive pride. He may have put others before combat, but he never compromised on that pride that had grown so inflated he'd rather die than get help from anyone else. As a result, he couldn't save anyone. Yet that choice to put others before his own selfish wish to defeat Goku was a step forward, resulting in Vegeta getting his body back to help against Buu, rather than be reincarnated with all his memories wiped. In the new life he was granted, he'd finally reflect and understand what must be done. For the first time, he and Goku would team up because it's okay to get help. Not only that, but this time proposed the idea of asking everyone on Earth to lend their energy, using the power of humanity, even recognizing he can't beat Buu, but holding him off for Goku to deliver a finishing move. What other character can shift his beatdowns from being sad to awesome as hell? Vegeta's journey is one of a man wrestling with changing feelings that contradicted the world as he knew it. The idea of having so much expectations on your shoulders by other people, warping how you are as a person, and struggling to fulfill them, while cursing your own weakness is something on some level I think anyone can relate to. Yet Vegeta's journey to realize that it's okay to not be there and there's more to life than that is inspiring. This isn't even to say Vegeta can't still push to defeat Goku, or have pride in being a Saiyan Prince, because those things still push him to be stronger. It's the same goal he had throughout the series that keeps him going, and it's only harmful when you cause suffering for yourself as well as the people around you by letting it be everything. So in some sense, that's why I find the end of Vegeta's story so compelling, because he never fulfills that desire, yet is still happy. No one can be the best, and sometimes you may not live up to what you want, yet the act of still trying and finding what can make you happy in spite of that is a different kind of strength that I just find incredibly admirable. In my eyes, Vegeta is the greatest loser, and embodies a spirit that I can't help but want. Even if other people upstage you again and again, it's not something to dwell on, but don't merely give up on finally getting that day, which I think a revision Toriyama did to the end of Dragon Ball captures perfectly. As Goku goes off with Oob, Vegeta swears he'll show Goku defeat sooner or later, because it's not wrong even after all that's happened to still have such a goal, if he can be reasonable about it, and purely use it to strive to be better. One day, maybe Vegeta will get his day, and if he doesn't, then that's okay.